Hello and welcome back to part 3 of our journey through the U.S. Constitution. Today, part 3 will cover Article 3, which is the establishment of the Supreme Court. Our other 2 videos so far in this series have covered the preamble, which is the introduction, Article 1, which established the legislative branch, one of the more important branches of the U.S. government according to our founders, and Article 2, covering the executive branch and the office of the presidents. So Article 3 will establish the Supreme Court, which is the highest court in the United States of America. It's not your typical court where you go down and try to get out of a speeding ticket or have to, argue for why your dog was barking. This is really, really important cases, and it shapes how the Constitution and the laws of the land are interpreted. It's a pretty big building. You can see me here in this picture in front of it in Washington, D.C., and it's really awe-inspiring. I highly recommend you all take a chance to go and see it someday. Article 3 has 3 sections in it. Section 1 establishes the court. Section 2 kind of covers who and what type of cases can be brought up. And Section 3 specifically follows and rules on what treason is. The Supreme Court is the only court in the land that will actually deal with treason cases, because treason is going against the nation and it's federal crime, and so that's why they kind of deal with it. So Section 1. The judicial powers of the United States shall be vested in one Supreme Court, and in such inferior courts as the Congress may from time to time ordain and establish. The judges, both of the Supreme and inferior courts, shall hold their offices during good behavior, and shall at stated times receive for their services a compensation, which shall not be diminished during their continuance in office. All right, so it basically says that there's going to be at least one Supreme Court, and then Congress can make a bunch of other courts, which it has. There's state courts, and there's district courts that are all kind of connected to these federal issues that we're dealing with. So these issues that are beyond just local issues, beyond only involving one state. It kind of goes and deals with all those federal issues, okay? And you can see that this section, just like in the Article 1 and Article 2, it covers the compensation about it, although they're not allowed to receive a pay cut according to the Section 1 here. All right, Section 2, the judicial power shall extend to all cases in law and equity arising under this Constitution, the laws of the United States, and treaties made or which shall be made under their authority, to all cases affecting ambassadors, other public ministers and councils, to all cases of admiralty and maritime jurisdiction, to controversies to which the United States shall be a party, to controversies between 2 or more states, between a state and a citizen of another state, which, since it's in blue, has been taken out, between citizens of different states, between citizens of the same state claiming lands under grants of different states, and between a state or citizen thereof and foreign states' citizens and subjects. In all cases affecting ambassadors, other public ministers and councils, and those in which a state shall be party, the Supreme Court shall have original jurisdiction. In all other cases before mentioned, the Supreme Court shall have appellate jurisdiction, both as to law and fact, with such exceptions and under such regulations as the Congress shall make. The trial of all crimes except in the case of impeachment shall be by jury, and such trial shall be held in the state where the said crimes shall have been committed. But when not committed within any state, the trial shall be at such place or places as the Congress may by law have directed. So it's basically saying, if it has something to do with this Constitution, such as a First Amendment in the Bill of Rights or a Second Amendment, which are really common ones, deals with the laws of the United States. So laws governing federal property, like in the national parks, those are federal properties, and so the laws there are governed by the Supreme Court. Treaties that we make, anything dealing with our ambassadors or other public people or maritime jurisdiction, so any cases on the high ocean, and any other controversies in which the United States is being sued or the ones doing the suing, anything between the states, anything between the citizen and states, all of those are going to be under the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. You can see that it's really these higher crimes that they're dealing with, okay? Section 3, like we said before, deals with treason. So treason against the United States shall consist only in levying war against them or in adhering to their enemies, giving them aid and comfort. No person shall be convicted of treason unless on the testimony of 2 witnesses to the same overt act or on confession in open court. The Congress shall have the power to declare the punishment of treason, but no attainder of treason shall work corruption of blood or forfeiture except during the life of the person attenuated. All right, so it's basically saying you have to really, like, you can't just say, I really don't like the federal government right now, or I really don't like the state government. You have to do an open act of war, or you have to give aid and comfort to an enemy of the United States to be convicted of treason. And you need at least 2 witnesses of one of the act, or you yourself have to confess to it in court. All right, and the treason doesn't, it like only affects the person who did the treason. Okay, so it's not supposed to go and be a sign upon their children or their wife or any or husband or anything beyond that. It's just the one person who did commit it. All right, and so this is a really important thing, because remember, the United States at the time of the adoption of the Constitution is only a few years old. Right, they just won the American Revolution. They're trying to figure out a way to improve upon the Articles of Confederation. It is only just begun. And so they're worried about characters like Benedict Arnold, who was charged with treason during one of the more famous treason cases during the American Revolution. They're still worried about that and thinking about that in all of their work. So that's why this is specifically being included in the Constitution, because they're worried someone is going to get England to come back and take over the United States, or to get the United States taken over by France or Spain, some of the other imperial powers in Europe at this time. And so people are really worried about that, and that's why they have this specific language in the Constitution. So that's all for part 3 of our video today, covering Article 3. I look forward to having you guys back here to see our part 4, where we cover the rest of the articles of the Constitution. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them below or send me an email. And thanks for watching the video.